Hi, guys.
Hello.
No, hi, guys.
Oh, well, okay. Hi, guys.
Happy Sunday. We hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. So, obviously there was a lot of happenings this past weekend. Obviously, with the tragedy in Pittsburgh, and it's something that we spoke about all weekend about how it made us feel and what we kind of learned from it and took away from it. So we first want to again send out our deepest condolences to any family or anyone that was affected by the events in Pittsburgh. And just wanted to say hi to everyone that's coming on. Hi, Debbie, Andrea, Ginny. Good to see you on here. And again, you can say hi and where you're coming in from, and feel free to share this. But what we're going to talk about tonight is the big picture of life. And I think it's in moments of tragedy and things like this where we really have to take a step back and really look at life and everything that goes on with it and really understand what is and what is not important. Because, you don't know when things are just going to come to a screeching halt. And I was sharing with Nancy the age of the people who lost their lives in that event.
I mean, some people might not watch the news. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the news. I read this on my
yeah,
phone.
we don't watch the news. So, I mean, obviously through social media,
You
kind of
can't
hear
help
about things,
but avoid it.
what we're referring to is,
Yeah, I mean, there was a husband and wife. They were 85 and 84. The oldest woman was 97 who lost her life in this.
is the shooting.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you just tell them what you're referring to?
Well, they know what I'm talking about, the tragedy in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
That's why.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay.
Mm.
So, I mean, if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, there was a really disastrous shooting in a synagogue in Pittsburgh in Squirrel Hill over the weekend. And, I mean, I think the youngest person was in their 50s. So, I mean, and they were at a bris. So, I mean, it really puts things into deep perspective because there's just so much just stupid shit just flying out in society and out there that, what's really important here. So we just wanted to go over some things and go over the big picture of life. So number one, what are you focusing on? What is your focus every single day? So Nancy.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like everything kind of unfolds for us, as the week progresses, and we're kind of like, what are we going to talk about on Sunday? And there's something always to talk about. And after this horrible stuff, like Scott said, we both don't watch the news, but after watching, and listening and being in tune to social media, you hear about some still really terrible things. And there was a mass shooting in Pittsburgh, and it was at a synagogue, a place where people go to, have worship and,
Pray.
Be in a safe space and to pray. And something horrible happened. And we're both talking about it all weekend, all week. It's kind of like, why does this stuff happen? This stuff is always going to happen. And, when we come up to the point, right, again, we're talking about big picture thinking. What is really important in life? And the first topic that we kind of broke it down to again is, what are you focusing on? Like the things that you focus on in life and daily, and we think about the big picture. You're a magnet. Right? Like us as humans, we are so incredible and we are capable of so many good things. And we give off this crazy energy that what you focus on is what you bring to you. Okay. So think of yourself as a magnet. Do you give off positivity and a positive vibe? Or do you bring to yourself negativity and you focus on the negative things? I'm sure you've met people and you can probably, very quickly assess, this person is very positive. this first person's very negative. And it's not to be judgmental, right? I'm not saying like, oh, you got to look at, Sally over here or John over here, who's very negative. Everyone is going through life, right? Everyone's doing the best that they can to get by with the skills that they have and the life that they have had. And everyone's brought up differently. Everyone's in different situations. But remember this, right? And we talk a lot about like control what you can control. And if you were to be a magnet, I want you guys to think about it right now. What kind of magnet would you be? Are you drawing positivity to you? And are you, honing in on that positive energy? Or are you drawing negativity into you?
For me, we've talked about certain tragic things before, and it still baffles me that it doesn't have to take something tragic like this to bring people together. It breaks my heart because something like this has to happen for then people to then turn around and say, well, life is so much more important. Life is bigger. We need to do something. We have that mindset every day. How can we make every single day better for ourselves and those around us? And I think if everyone treats every day like that, not waiting for the next bad thing to happen where everyone then feels like they need to unite. We should be united every single day. I just hear and see so many different things. I spoke to my buddy Matt Newman, who I posted about his book the other day. And if you haven't heard his story, and Andrea said the 97-year-old woman was a Holocaust survivor. So if you want to talk about someone that's been through everything, and that's the way that her life had to end, in her place of worship where she has her freedom. But we don't have to wait for these tragedies. My buddy Matt, is battling, brain cancer. His son went through his own medical issues, lost his father-in-law to cancer. That was his cancer partner. And that's what his book is about. And he went through all this at 39 years old. 39 years old, he had to get a craniotomy. And you want to talk about, his life being flipped upside down, where he now has this mission to empower and motivate all these people. Again, you take tragedy and you turn into triumph, but these things, in whatever shape or size they're happening, they're happening every single day. We just sometimes don't hear about them. And it's this, my friend Felissa posted something that there's been 51 occurrences similar to the massacre in Pittsburgh since 1999. And I just think to myself, when is enough going to be enough? When is everyone going to drop all of the stupid stuff and the politics and the religion and the race and all of these things that don't matter? We're all one people. We're all in this together. We live not only in the greatest country, in my opinion. Again, I'm not I only know this, and I feel that I've had the greatest opportunity living here, but also the greatest time in my life right now where we're all living. It's such an abundant time to live. And what are we focusing on? What are we focusing on? The picking on and the bullying and the nitpicking and the telling on people. And I'm not just talking about kids. I'm talking about adults are doing this too. I'm grateful for the time that I get to spend with Nancy and when I, have my son with us, but I miss him all the time because, I don't take, for 1 minute, I don't take any of the time that I have with him for granted at all. Because again, we don't know, we are completely living in a life and we take full advantage of every day in not the positive way. Sadhguru says that everyone wakes up and thinks they're immortal. We're never going to die. You don't know when your life is going to be done. But yet everyone wakes up every day treating it, it's like just any other day. Tomorrow's guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. And it's not about living each day like it's your last, like jumping out of airplanes every single day. Those are things you should do in your life. But it's about, how are you leaving people? Are you honoring and loving people for where they are? Two of the biggest, and I shared this with Nancy, two of the biggest lessons that I learned in network marketing just as a profession was meeting people where they are and also being unoffendable. But what I was sharing with Nancy is I'm finding that when people are focusing on the wrong things, they're becoming more offendable than ever. They're comparing themselves more than ever. They're not staying in their lane, and they're not enjoying their life. And it comes back to this. What are you focusing on? So, Nancy wrote down, just take a deep breath and just rationalize everything that's going on.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, this is so impactful for me because, I have experienced a lot of craziness, a lot of shakeups in life, losing people and going through, different things. And honestly, it really, every time something crazy happens, and Scott talked about it earlier, why do we wait for so much crazy shit to happen to make us wake up and feel like, oh, okay, now I got to do this better. Or, oh my gosh, this really hurt. Now I got to really do this. And it's please don't wait for that person to die. Don't wait for that thing to happen. Don't wait for that job to, fire you. Don't wait. Think about right now in your life, take a deep breath. And the things that really stress you out and they really worry you, and I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's financial. I don't care if it's a family issue. I don't care if it's something that it makes you feel sick to your stomach. It's a relationship thing. I mean, just step back and think about it. Will this matter a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Is it really that big of a deal? Because you know that every time that you put your body through that stress, you actually chip away, years of your life or parts of your life because you cause stress on your body, which inherently stress chips away at your health. Is it worth putting all this time and energy and everything into translating that for your body into a horrible thing? I keep going back to, Scott had me watch this video when we first started dating, and it impacted me so crazily. It's Deepak Chopra, and he did an interview with Tony Robbins, and he talked about that how you interpret things in your daily life can mean so much. So, for example, if I'm going on a roller coaster ride and I'm going down this roller coaster and I'm like, this is the worst day of my life. This is the most terrifying day of my life. I hate this. I hate roller coasters. This is horrible. Your body tenses up. It feels horrible. You feel all these horrible things. It sends all of these stressors, the cancer-causing substances to your body, and it's a bad, bad thing, okay? So you just put your body through this heavy, concentrated dose of, oh, hell no, Then you look at it on the other end, right? And you look over to the person next to you who's whoa, right? Ready to go on this roller coaster, living life, so happy, translating this experience that you're having so negatively, translating it in a way that, oh my God, this is the best day of my life. This is amazing. I'm having so much fun. Shooting endorphins to your brain, the stuff that your body likes, actually, right? So all these good things are happening, and you make that decision to translate it that way, right? You decided that this is so great and this is so wonderful and this is happening now, can make your body physically, mentally, everything react in a different way. And I just say this, and the way that it's impacted me, I mean, thank you for sharing it, but it's impacted me because it's I thought of how many things had I been processing in a negative way where I could have just relaxed and said, you know what, thank God it's not worse. Or, you know what, let me look for the grateful, what I can be grateful for in this situation. And let me look at it a little differently. Because I kid you not, some of the horrible, most terrible things in your life, if you can look for some kind of growth, some kind of learning. And I don't care what it is, guys. Like, I've been through the ringer, okay? And life will throw you shit that you feel sometimes you can't even handle, that you feel like you can't recover from, and you feel like life is so unfair. Life will throw you stuff, but I promise you, try to look for something in there. Try to look for learning. You can't always find something good and great, but you can find something to take away from this experience and maybe appreciate something a little bit more, maybe live your life a little bit more, maybe have a little bit more each day to really hang on to. I just honestly, just throwing it out there, just think about those things that you think are so freaking important. Are they really that important? Because I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's financial. I don't care if it's just a relationship thing. I don't care if it's a this or that or whatever. You can get through it, and you can learn from it, and you can move on. Sorry, that's it. All right. So the next topic is, on that note, is we talk about big picture, right? We talk about what you're focusing on. Let's talk about what you might be taking advantage of. Okay? So you can dive into this one.
No, you start off.
You want me to start off?
You're
I'm on like a rampage.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, so quite honestly, I say, what are you taking advantage of? Because, okay, here's a little, again, I love transparency. I love to be so raw and real. I'm an entrepreneur. I go through difficult times, right? Here I am, a few years ago, living life, making tons of money, spending way too much money on clothes, having so much expendable cash into the world of entrepreneurship, where I am literally paving my own path. I'm doing my own things. I am making, way less money than I was making before. Everyone has things that they struggle and deal with. Now, when I say, what are you taking advantage of? When you start to live with less and you start to kind of just appreciate things a little bit more each day, let's be thankful for a few things, right? So one thing that I started a few weeks ago, and this is when I was low. I mean, I was in a low point where I was really, really struggling with a lot of things. I actually picked up a gratitude journal that Scott had bought me. This was months ago. I mean, he bought this thing for me. I put it on my shelf. I didn't look at it, and I decided to grab it. At the lowest point I felt, I grabbed my gratitude journal and I started writing in it every morning. And what does it force you to do? It forces you every morning to take your pen and your paper, put it down, write the date, and write things that you're grateful for. No matter what, I don't care what situation you're in, what you're going through, everything, there's always something to be grateful for. The fact that the earth is spinning, the sun is shining, the moon comes out every night, we have the tide, we have everything, right? There's so many things to be grateful for. I sat there and I started writing things, and I started the first night I'm as I'm writing down, it was kind of okay, I'm grateful for this and I'm grateful for that. And each day it got more and more and more. And, there's so many things to be grateful for, whether it's your health, your family, your friends, your loved ones. There's so many things that you should be grateful for. And honestly, I mean, it just really puts things in perspective whenever you stop to think about, stop thinking about your problems. Stop thinking about what you have to complain about or what the issues are. Kind of flip that over and just think about what you're grateful for and what you're appreciative of.
Yeah, it just comes down to, how do you want to live your life? Now I'm not saying these two things to, and I just have to give credit for the people that actually are coming on here, because I know there's people that are hearing this and they don't want to hear it. Because, this goes against, what we're talking about goes against what society wants us to do. Society wants us to continue to fuel this anger and to fuel this hate and to fuel all of these things. That's what's comfortable for most people, because that's what keeps the headlines going. That's what keeps the newspapers printing. But it's up to us to actually change the focus and actually realize what are we actually taking advantage of in life. And, for me, this is the most successful year I've ever had in my career in business. But I'm even more grateful, not even for what I've been able to achieve business-wise, but I'm most grateful for how my life is. I still live in the same 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo that I did 4 years ago when things weren't that great. We went out to dinner the other night. One of our favorite restaurants is Texas Roadhouse. I'm not knocking it. It's one of our favorite places to go. And one of our favorite places to go shopping is the dollar store. No, I'm serious. So our Friday night consisted of going to Texas Roadhouse for dinner, and then we walked up and we went to the dollar store and got some stuff, picture frames, and looked through the books, and we got some little knickknacks. I got some, painting things for Taylor. And because, again, it doesn't matter. Like, you can find joy in anything. And I'm like, I want to buy everything from the store. Not because I can afford it.
Everything's $100.
But you start to get a new perspective on how people get caught up in labels. What name brand bag are they carrying, or jean they're wearing, or shoe is on their foot, or car that they're driving. That matters to some people, which is completely fine. But I care more about, leaving a legacy behind for myself and my family, taking care of Nancy, taking care of Taylor, taking care of our family. That's where my energy and my focus is. And, I'm taking advantage of what's going on in my life. I'm taking advantage of the people that are in it, the experiences that I get to have, going to Nancy's, open house today and hanging out and spending some time. And joy can be found anywhere you want to find it. And again, I want to come back to something, is that we do not have to wait for times of tragedy and times of despair to band together as one. We don't. It should be like this every day. Not feeling sorrow, not feeling sadness, but we should wake up wanting to think and feel, how could I make my life better? How could I make the lives of those around me better? How can I make the world better? What can I do today to just make things better? And I just picked up my phone today and I texted my mom, my dad, and my sister, and I texted them and I just said, I love you guys so much, because you don't know when you will get that opportunity. You don't know when the last opportunity will be. So I don't want to waste a day not being able to tell someone I love them, or I care about them, or they mean something to me. Again, this comes back, I'm telling you, too many of us feel we are immortal. I'm sorry, we're not. We are not going to live forever. We want to live a long time, but we're not immortal. And Nancy said something to me at dinner. She said, if we can all calculate right around, the average lifespan of a man and woman, is between 75 to 78. It's average. So you can literally take the average lifespan of an average male or female, subtract it from how old you are right now, multiply it by 365, and you basically know exactly how many days you have left on Earth. So when you put life into perspective that way, how are you going to wake up differently tomorrow? What are you going to do differently in your life tomorrow? How are you going to spend your time with your kids? Are you going to get mad at them for some stupid shit that they're doing just because they're kids when you did those same exact things? Sometimes Taylor does stuff and I just have to laugh. Like, I don't even get mad. I just have to laugh. He'll do, I'll say, don't do that, and he'll do it. And I won't get mad. I'll just laugh because I did the same shit when I was 6 years old. And it's the truth. Linda says money gets spent until it's gone, but memories are forever. As far as legacy goes, memories go further in terms of riches, in my opinion.
Yes, 100%.
That's like, if no matter where you are in your life, I really feel people, as much as you say that you're grateful and thankful, what is going on here? I want to make sure everyone, are we still on? Can everyone still, just type Y or yes if you guys can hear us okay. I just want to make sure. Hold on.
Wait.
Let's see.